The year is 800. The world stands divided among aging empires, each blind to the dragon ships gathering in frozen northern harbors. Charlemagne rules Western Europe from Aachen. Harun al-Rashid commands the Abbasid Caliphate from Baghdad. But in the frozen fjords of Scandinavia, a different world stirs. Long winters breed hard men. Limited farmland pushes young warriors toward the sea, toward prey. From the mist, dragon heads rise. The Norsemen have heard of wealthy monasteries and undefended coastlines. The age of Vikings begins. June 8, 793. The holy island of Lindisfarne sleeps beneath gray English skies. Monks copy sacred manuscripts in peace. They cannot imagine what dawn will bring. 3 sails appear on the horizon. The monks believe them to be traitors. They wave in welcome. The ships do not wave back. Dragon prows bite into sacred sand. Men leap with axes raised, bearded, armored, terrifying. Fire consumes the scriptorium. Centuries of manuscripts curl into ash. Blood runs across altar stones. Gold chalices disappear into leather sacks. The Vikings see only metal, not meaning. Survivors are herded to the ships as slaves. For Christian Europe, the apocalypse has arrived from the sea.
Get up there! 12! 13!
In the steep-sided fjords of Norway, life is carved from stone and ice. The sea offers more than the soil: fish, trade routes, and paths to plunder. Swedish Vikings look eastward toward Constantinople and Baghdad. The Danes are warriors first. Every young man dreams of joining a Jarl's retinue and dying with sword in hand. At the Thing, the Viking assembly, free men gather to settle disputes and declare war. Even kings must bow to the assembly's judgment. Viking society divides into 3: the Jarls who rule, the Carls who farm and fight, and the thralls, slaves worth less than a good horse. In sacred groves, they worship Odin, the All-Father, Thor, the Thunder God, and Freya, who chooses the slain. Warriors who die in battle feast in Valhalla. Cowards descend to Hell's cold realm. This belief makes Vikings fearless beyond reason. In coastal shipyards, Viking genius takes shape. Oak trees become keels, ribs, and planks, each timber selected for grain, bent with steam, fastened with iron rivets. The clinker technique creates hulls both flexible and watertight. These ships can twist through North Atlantic storms that would shatter Mediterranean galleys. Draft depth barely reaches 3 feet. Rivers that stop other navies become Viking highways. Wool sails catch ocean winds. When stealth is needed, oars emerge. 60 warriors become 60 rowers, pushing silent death toward sleeping coastlines. A single longship carries 40 warriors. A raiding fleet carries thousands. Speed is the ultimate weapon. January 28, 814. In Aachen, Charlemagne takes his final breath. He leaves a realm stretching from the Pyrenees to the Elbe, and a son who cannot hold it. Louis the Pious inherits his father's crown, but not his iron will. He divides the empire among 3 quarreling sons. Brother turns against brother. Lothair, Louis, and Charles tear the Carolingian realm apart in civil war. While Christian princes slaughter each other, Viking scouts report every weakness. In 843, the Treaty of Verdun splits the empire into 3 kingdoms. Coastal defenses crumble. River garrisons disperse. Monks add new words to their prayers. From the fury of the Northmen, deliver us, Lord. God seems not to answer.
A furore Normannorum, libera nos Domine.
March 845. 120 dragon ships enter the Seine. At their head sails Ragnar Lothbrok, a figure who will become legend. He commands 5,000 Vikings and sets his eyes on the richest prize in Francia. King Charles the Bald divides his army to guard both riverbanks. Fatal error. Ragnar strikes one half before the other can cross. The Frankish defense shatters. Ragnar captures 111 prisoners and hangs them all on an island in full view of Paris. A sacrifice to Odin, a message to the king. Terror is a weapon sharper than any axe. But disease strikes the Viking camp. Warriors who feared no army fall to invisible enemies. Charles offers 7,000 pounds of silver to make them leave. Ragnar accepts. This Danegeld becomes the Viking business model. Why conquer when you can extort? Ragnar returns to Scandinavia, a living legend. His sons will surpass even his bloody fame.
The wealth of the Franks.
Autumn, 865. The largest Viking force ever assembled lands in East Anglia, not to raid, but to conquer. The Anglo-Saxons name it the Great Heathen Army. It is led by Ragnar's sons, Ivar the Boneless, Halfdan, and Ubba. Legend says they come for vengeance. King Ela allegedly executed Ragnar by throwing him into a pit of serpents. East Anglia surrenders without battle. King Edmund refuses to renounce Christ and is pierced with arrows like Saint Sebastian. In 867, the great army storms York on All Saints' Day. Both Northumbrian kings die fighting. The ancient kingdom ceases to exist in a single afternoon. Captured King Ela meets the blood eagle, ribs severed from spine, lungs pulled out like wings. Mercia falls next. Viking puppet kings are installed. By 871, only Wessex remains free, ruled by a dying king and his 22-year-old brother. That brother is Alfred. When King Aethelred dies, Alfred takes the crown of a broken kingdom. England's darkest hour has begun. In his first year as king, Alfred fights 9 pitched battles. He wins some, loses others, but cannot break Viking power. He buys peace with silver, shameful, necessary, temporary. For 5 years, an uneasy peace holds. Alfred rebuilds his army while Vikings farm stolen land. January 878. Guthrum strikes during Twelfth Night when warriors are drunk and scattered. Chippenham falls in hours. Alfred's kingdom collapses. The king becomes a fugitive. With a handful of warriors, he flees into the Somerset Marshes, Athelney, a swampy island where Vikings cannot follow. Legend tells of Alfred burning cakes while lost in thought, a king so reduced he cannot watch a cooking fire. From Athelney, Alfred sends messengers throughout Wessex. Loyal things gather in secret. In May 878, Alfred raises his banner at Egbert Stone. 4,000 men emerge from forests and villages. At Eddington, the shield walls meet. The Viking formation cracks. Alfred wins the battle that saves England. Alfred surrounds the Viking fortress for 14 days. No food enters. Guthrum finally begs for terms. The Treaty of Wedmore divides England. Vikings keep the Danelaw. Wessex keeps the south. Guthrum must submit to baptism, emerging as a Christian with Alfred as his godfather. The man who burned monasteries now wears a cross. Alfred transforms Wessex into a fortress kingdom. He builds burhs, fortified towns, each within 20 miles of another. He constructs a new fleet larger than Viking vessels. For the first time, England can fight raiders at sea. The king issues a new law code blending Christian morality with Anglo-Saxon tradition. Alfred himself translates Latin texts into English. He wants his people educated and united by language. On October 26, 899, Alfred dies at 50. He saved Wessex, preserved Christianity, and earned his title, the only English king called great.
Is the king's English, clear and strong for all to understand. We must ensure the books reach every monastery.
While Norse and Danes sail west, Swedish Vikings cross the Baltic eastward. They seek trade routes, river highways leading to Constantinople and the riches of the Orient. The Dnieper, the Volga, the Don rivers become roads. Where rapids block passage, Vikings carry ships overland through forests haunted by Slavic tribes. The Slavs call these newcomers Rus. The Rus bring iron weapons and ruthless organization. The Slavs provide numbers. In 862, Slavic tribes invite a chieftain named Rurik to rule them. A dynasty is born that will last 7 centuries. In 860, 200 Rus ships appear beneath Constantinople's walls. Only a sudden storm drives them back. In 882, Rurik's successor Oleg captures Kiev through treachery. Kiev becomes center of a new power, neither fully Viking nor fully Slavic. By 900, Kievan Rus stretches from the Baltic to the Black Sea. The Viking legacy endures in Cyrillic lands. November 8085. 700 longships carry 30,000 Vikings up the Seine. This is not a raid but an invasion, the largest Viking force ever to attack a single city. Sigfrid and Sinrik command the horde. They demand passage through Paris. Paris refuses. Count Odo commands the defense, a warrior who fights from the walls beside common soldiers. With fewer than 200 defenders, he faces an army beyond counting. 2 fortified bridges block Viking passage. Siege towers roll forward. Arrows darken the sky. Defenders pour boiling oil and burning pitch. The first assault fails in carnage. Weeks become months. Disease spreads in Viking camps. In February, floods weaken one bridge. Vikings storm through and capture a tower. Its 12 defenders fight to the last man. Emperor Charles the Fat arrives with a relief army, then pays the Vikings 700 pounds of silver instead of fighting. Paris is saved, but honor is lost. Count Odo emerges a hero. 3 years later, he will be elected king.
Long live the savior of Paris! Victory!
Around 870, Norwegian sailors fleeing blood feuds discover Iceland. Ingolfur Arnarsson becomes Iceland's first permanent settler, building where his high seat pillars wash ashore, Reykjavik, Smoke Bay. Within 60 years, 60,000 Norsemen follow. In 930, Icelanders establish the Althing, the world's oldest parliament. No king rules here. Free men gather annually to make laws and settle disputes. In Ireland, Vikings transform raid camps into cities. Dublin becomes Western Europe's greatest slave market. In England's Danelaw, Danish settlers become farmers. They bring new words, law, egg, window, sky, that merge into English. In 911, King Charles grants the Seine Valley to a Viking named Rollo. This Normandy will produce the conquerors of England, Sicily, and the Holy Land. Everywhere they settle, Vikings adapt. Within 3 generations, raiders become indistinguishable. While Vikings ravage the West, Baghdad blazes with enlightenment. The Abbasid Caliphate enters its Golden Age, a century when Muslim civilization leads humanity in science, medicine, and philosophy. In the House of Wisdom, scholars translate Aristotle, Plato, and Galen. Texts lost to Europe survive in Arabic. Al-Khwarizmi develops algebra and introduces Hindu-Arabic numerals. His name becomes algorithm. Physicians like Al-Razi identify smallpox and measles as distinct diseases. They build hospitals with separate wards and medical schools. Abbasid merchants dominate trade from China to Spain, but shadows gather. Caliph al-Mutawakkil persecutes Christians, Jews, and Shia Muslims. Turkish slave soldiers gain power. When Turkish guards murder al-Mutawakkil in 861, decline begins. 4 caliphs die violently in 10 years. The empire fragments while Baghdad retains only spiritual authority. In China, the glorious Tang dynasty crumbles. Corruption rots the civil service. Warlords ignore imperial edicts. Peasants starve while aristocrats compose poetry. In 874, a failed examination candidate named Huang Chao leads a rebellion that will kill millions. His army sweeps across China like a scythe. In 881, Huang Chao captures Chang'an, the world's greatest city. The emperor flees. The massacre kills perhaps 8 million souls. Tang loyalists recapture Chang'an, but the city is ruined. Huang Chao dies in 884, yet the dynasty never recovers. Earlier, in 8145, Emperor Wuzong destroyed 40,000 Buddhist temples, weakening Tang cultural foundations. In 907, the last Tang emperor is deposed. China fragments into chaos. 3 centuries of unity end in warlord anarchy. Yet from collapse comes invention. Military necessity drives gunpowder development. The alchemist accident becomes the soldier's weapon.
Change the course of history. We must begin mass production immediately.
The Byzantine resurgence. The glory of Rome reborn.
While Carolingian and Abbasid empires fracture, Byzantine rises. The Eastern Roman Empire finds new strength behind its unbreached walls. Constantinople remains the world's greatest city. In 867, a peasant-born wrestler named Basil murders his way to the throne. Basil I founds the Macedonian dynasty, which will rule for 2 centuries. He rebuilds the army around elite cavalry and professional infantry. Quality defeats quantity. Imperial armies push back the Abbasid frontier. Fortresses lost for generations return to Christian hands. Byzantine missionaries bring Orthodox Christianity to the Bulgars and Slavs. Cyril and Methodius create the Glagolitic alphabet to translate scripture. The Slavic world enters the Byzantine orbit. As the 9th century closes, 4 powers dominate: Alfred's England, the fragmented Carolingian realms, resurgent Byzantium, and fragmenting Abbasid Caliphate. The Viking century reshapes them all. In 100 years, Scandinavian raiders have conquered half of England, besieged Paris twice, settled Iceland, and threatened Constantinople. No people their size have ever achieved such impact, but their greatest legacy is fusion. Old Norse blends with Old English. Scandinavian law shapes European governance. Pagan warriors accept Christ, the raiders become Europeans. The religious map is redrawn. These boundaries will last centuries. In the East, gunpowder evolves from curiosity to weapon. Greater transformations await. The 9th century ends as it began, with dragon ships on dark waters. History belongs not to the comfortable, but to those who dare the unknown.